Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. It is exactly 12 noon. Hi, everyone, and maybe it's hello to some new people who did not attend yesterday's webinar on resumes and cover letters. Welcome to everyone today to discuss networking and LinkedIn as part of our Career Day 2022 webinar series. So I'm happy that you're here with me today. Okay, I would like to start by acknowledging that we do work, study, and live in a region south of the Fraser River, which overlaps with the unceded traditional and ancestral lands of the Kwantlen, Musqueam, Katsi, Semiahmoo, Tsawwassen, Kikite, and Coquitlam peoples. Now, here's what we're going to, oh, no, sorry. This is a quick recap of some of our services at the Career Development Center. And, have a look at kpu.ca/career center for all of these services. And of course, the one that we're all here for today is one of the events that we're holding, and this is Career Day 2022, and that is happening on March 9th. Here are some more webinars that are coming up leading up to and just shortly after the Career Day event. And you're all here now, so I suspect you already know this information. I won't repeat it, but of course it's all leading up to Career Day 2022 on Wednesday, March 9th from 12 till 3 p.m. So if you haven't already, please go in and register for these other webinars and of course the main event. I always like to start the networking and LinkedIn workshop, or at least networking workshop, off with this statement because it's so incredibly true. And I think it's important that we keep this statement in mind as we begin to expand our network and connect with people and so forth. So if people know how they can help you, and they can, they usually will. I want you to keep that in mind. If people know how they can help you, and they can, they usually will. But it is up to you to help them help you, right? So help them identify ways that they can, in fact, help you. I think I can hear someone is not on mute. If I could just ask that everybody please mute their mics, that would be very helpful. And another reminder that we are recording this webinar and it will be uploaded to YouTube in the coming days. Here's what we're going to be covering today together. What is networking? A quick recap. What is networking? Why does it matter? How to network? We're going to jump straight into LinkedIn best practices. We'll finish off with some questions, and of course, stick around because there will be a draw for a $20 Tim Hortons gift card. So don't go away. Come back for that, or stick around rather for that. What is networking? Well, networking is connecting and building relationships with people to, and I've named a few things here, but certainly there are plenty of other reasons, but to exchange ideas, to understand a career or an industry better, to get a deeper knowledge of a company way beyond the website, so get that insider information. For AIR, and that's to perhaps reach out to someone for advice, insight, and recommendations. To perhaps find employment, to progress in a career, because it doesn't stop once you do find a job. In fact, I really hope it doesn't, because it's a really great career management tool as well. And finally, it's a really great strategy to use in order to find your fit. Now, one thing you'll notice is I did put a little asterisk beside building relationships. Now, despite what you might think, you don't have to be close to the people that are within your network in order to have them help you, or in fact, for you to help them. Weaker ties, so that would be people perhaps we used to know that we haven't really kept in contact with, or perhaps a friend of a friend, or someone who knows someone that is directly within your network. Those weaker ties are often where a lot of that magic happens. So I say building relationships, but it really isn't mandatory in networking, in connecting. Essentially, it's really about just expanding the amount of people who know of your existence. That's really what it comes down to.
पढ़ना होगा तो
Again, I can hear that somebody has their mic not on mute. If I could just ask everyone, can you please just double check that your mic is on mute, and then that way we can just make sure that that there's no interruptions there. Okay, so why does networking matter? You hear it all the time. You hear it from people like me. Hey, get out there and network, connect. It really does make a difference. But why? Why does it matter? Well, in all the years that I've been doing career advising, and you don't need to know how many, it's been a few, one common characteristic, I guess I could say, that I see amongst clients or students is a real frustration in that they feel as though they don't have control over the process. So there's no control over the process. And when I dig a little bit deeper, I usually find a pretty common theme in terms of how they've been approaching their own job search. And that theme is very reactive. And what I mean by that is they see a job posting, they believe that they're a good match for that job posting. They might put together a customized resume and cover letter based hopefully on some of those tips from yesterday, but then they find that once they send it off, they don't really have much control over the process from there. And in fact, they don't. You don't in that respect. So when it comes to networking, it really is about taking a more proactive approach, a more engaged kind of control over your own career direction, as opposed to reactive approach. So reacting to a job posting. So puts you back in the driver's seat, puts you in that more in control, and also in a feeling of more control. It's also better when it's interesting and rewarding. So when you're out there connecting with people and learning about various opportunities in various directions, you are then making decisions based on the information that you're taking in to either pursue something further or not. And so if you choose, of course, to pursue something further, it's based on the information that you've taken in, and the information that told you this might be the road you want to take because it seems really interesting to you. So that's definitely why networking matters. The other one is it actually is it's easier for the employer. Like if they have identified you as a prospective employee because you've been reaching out, you've been connecting, you've shown a genuine interest in the industry or in that particular company, when it comes time to them filling a role, if they don't have to post, or even if they do have to post, they're going to first look at their network. So they're going to look at people who have targeted them directly. Perhaps they're going to look at their current employees. You may have heard that a lot of employers have those referral programs where if an employee refers a successful candidate for a particular role, that employee gets some kind of reward. There's a reason why those programs are in place. They hold a lot of value to an employer. So why does networking matter? It makes it easier for the employer. And that is indeed where we tend to see job search success happen. You may have heard over and over again that people will tend to hire or look at people first within their network. That is accurate information. That is true. Here I have a percentage of more than 70% of professionals get hired at companies where they already have a connection. The other reason why it matters is for your own well-being. And what I mean by that is the more people you're connecting with through experiences that you allow yourself to have, the better it feels. So if you start taking on various interests or hobbies and start pursuing those, kind of a secondary reward, in fact, is expanding your network, but a primary reward is you feel really good doing those things. So it actually does, believe it or not, contribute to a healthier well-being. And it's also something that is a great career management tool. It doesn't stop when you find that job. As I mentioned already, it is an important career management strategy to maintain. So starting that process now, it does become easier to help you as you move and meander through your career. So it really is a way of working smarter to find a job that fits for you. How do I network? So how do we network? Well, before you dive in, might I suggest you develop a goal and have a plan? So some of you might be, I think perhaps a bulk of you might be third and fourth year students. So I'm really hoping that you know about SMART goal setting, right? So making sure that when you establish goals for yourself, and this goal in particular is around networking, what is your reason? Like, why are you wanting to network? So be specific when you set your goals. Make sure it's something that's measurable. Make sure that it is, in fact, achievable, relevant, and time sensitive. Okay, so when you're establishing that goal, make sure it has the characteristics of that SMART goal. Put together a plan for yourself. Okay, so if it is to find employment within a certain career, or perhaps, research a company, or scoop up a mentor, whatever it might be, develop a goal for yourself and begin with a plan. The next thing is, in terms of how to network, is identify who is in your network and where the gaps are. Right? So where are the gaps? If you are interested in a certain company and you don't know anyone at that company, you've identified a gap. You've identified a gap for yourself. So establish ways that you can perhaps expand your network within that company, or at least move yourself closer to a network within that company. Use your current connections, right? So your current connections do also include those weaker connections that that I referenced a little bit earlier. But looking immediately at you, your current connections could very well be where you spend the bulk of your time, and it might in fact be at KPU. So just in quoting Dr. Candy Ho, use those career influencers that you're surrounded by. So use your instructors, the Career Development Center. Take on some volunteer opportunities. Your fellow students are also potential career influencers for you. So use your current connections as well, and expand your network. Right? So be places, experience things. Going back to why networking matters, and that well-being piece, honor your interests and go out and don't forget to have a good time while you are beginning to think about your career, right? So be places, volunteer at places that make you feel good. You know, sign up for some kind of group activity, or a sport, or whatever it might be, a cooking class. So be places and be present when you're in these places. Get to know people and allow those people to get to know you as well. And then finally, keep your network. So follow up with people that you meet for the first time, perhaps by reaching out through LinkedIn and asking if they would like to connect that way. Share with them if you have something to offer. If you, for example, think that a couple people that are within your network ought to know each other, then share that information and share your knowledge and so forth. And engage. So again, just be an active participant in your life and in the events that you are a part of. Speaking of which, LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is an excellent tool to allow you to use your current network. It will allow you to expand your network, and it will allow you to fill those gaps that I was referencing earlier. Important statistic to know here: 87% of recruiters use LinkedIn for their recruitment efforts. So this is from a survey here. 87% of recruiters use LinkedIn for their recruitment efforts. Now, if you were at perhaps the Get Ready, Get Hired networking webinar that I hosted then, one of my strategies was, be where the employers are, not where all the job seekers are. So the job seekers tend to be online, specifically responding to ads like Indeed and so forth and so on. But a more strategic approach is to be where the employers are. Now, if we know that recruiters who get paid to recruit for placing each candidate candidate, if we know that they use LinkedIn, then it might be wise for us to also use LinkedIn. Now, whenever I am having a conversation with someone about LinkedIn, and if any of you out there have met with me about LinkedIn, this is the information. These are the main tips that I do tend to kind of focus on. The first one is focus on your headline right there and your about section right there. Next up, you want to proactively reach out to people. So new, and remember those weak links that you have, reconnect with them and reintroduce yourself to them. I need to go through, and you can see here, I'm under 500, right? I'm not in the 500 club yet. So I'm under 500 with my own network. And I've connected with many of these people years ago. And so every once in a while, I'll do a bit of an audit for myself, and I'll go through my network and I'll reconnect with someone. And many times I will reintroduce myself, and I'll also ask them if their own LinkedIn profile is up to date. Are you still over at, ABC Corporation? I'm just wanting to make sure that I'm still on top of my network here. So proactively reach out to people, and it's okay if you don't know them. That's the whole reason why we're all on LinkedIn, right? It's to connect and expand our network. So that's okay that you don't know people, but I would preface that with sending them a little note, letting them know why it is you're interested in meeting with them. Snapchat, Instagram, and those other social media platforms, those are for people that you know, maybe for the most part. LinkedIn is to expand that network, so it's okay. The other big tip that I tell people when I'm referencing LinkedIn is use it as a research tool. It's a phenomenal research tool to help with our own career pathway and to identify, prospects, companies we might want to target, but also it helps us to really develop a strong profile, because we can go out there and we can snoop other people's profiles and get some really great ideas for our own. So let's have a look at some of the most important kind of profile sections. The first one I've already referenced is that headline. So the headline, going back over here, that goes directly under your name. And for those of you that are relatively new to LinkedIn, you may have noticed that LinkedIn will auto-populate this section, this crucial section. They will auto-populate it with perhaps your most recent position. And a lot of people just kind of leave it there and let LinkedIn auto-populate this information directly. Might I strongly, strongly suggest that you go in and you edit that. And you edit that to reflect you and your own direction and your own kind of style. Right? So you have about 220 characters here. It moved up from 120 characters. So you have 220 characters to kind of introduce yourself. Here's an example of a headline that I just put together as something you might want to reference. So 4th year health sciences student, career goal, sustainability and research, life goal, world travel. So there's a little bit of personality in there, as well as a really clear indicator of your career aspirations. So think about that. And going back to my my profile here, you'll see that I have my name, my headline, and my photo, and then my background photo. My background photo, it's not a professional shot. This is something I've kind of inserted a little bit of my personal life in there. So here we go. And if you see that kind of blurred out section, I put this here on purpose, because one thing you want to think about is how you are seen throughout LinkedIn by other members. And when you show up on a list, this is what it looks like. It includes your photo, your name, and your headline. So those 3 things kind of follow you around LinkedIn. So your headline really does matter. Like I said already, this is vital real estate. It's super important here that you write something that really does reflect you. As a student, it might be a good idea for you to identify your career aspiration here. If you're a job seeker, might I suggest that you not use this section to write that you are a job seeker. In fact, if a recruiter sees your profile and thinks you might be a good fit, they don't care if you're a job seeker. They don't care if you're currently working and very happy where you're at. They might reach out to you and simply request that you consider interviewing for this position that they have. So please don't use this section to advertise that you're looking for employment. The next section is your photo. Really also another crucial one. It's great if you can make this as professional as possible. You don't have to have the friend with the Canon. You can have the friend with a really good phone that takes a really great photo with minimal filters. So some few things to keep in mind: keep it a headshot, be smiling, looking directly into the camera, wear clothing that reflects perhaps the career direction you want to go. Make sure your background is relatively neutral, and yeah, essentially a head to shoulders or a head and shoulders shot is a pretty good bet. So there you go. I forgot to say, if you do have any questions, I certainly do welcome them. We'll keep them till the end, just so that, in case as I'm going, I do end up answering that question anyway. So let's keep questions till the end. The next section used to be referred to as the summary section, and now it's the about section. And I'm going to go back a couple slides. There's my about section there. And you'll see in my particular about section, it's really important that I demonstrate a little bit of personality. In fact, I think it's important that we all demonstrate personality in this about section. You have about 2,600 characters to fill here, so don't be shy. Fill it up. But just like I was mentioning on the resume workshop or webinar yesterday, it's important to do it in small kind of clusters to make it easy to ingest and make them want to read it. This is also your opportunity to put some industry-specific terminology and keywords in there, because it will increase that keyword count when recruiters are using LinkedIn as a research or as a recruitment tool. So make sure that you really are kind of speaking the language of the industry or career type that you're focusing on. Let's just move forward. Okay, so going back to this section here, as I mentioned, we have about 2,600 characters here. And the reason why I say it's important to, or my suggestion is to focus on the headline and on the about section, is because the rest of your profile is relatively easy to complete, right? Your employment history, it's all there. It's perhaps your resume and then some, your education section, certifications, volunteer. Now, I do recommend that you make sure these sections are completed, absolutely, and continue to add to it as you obtain new information. But the about and the headline section really is your place to shine and to demonstrate a little bit about your personality, a little bit about your career aspirations and the direction that you want to go. So as I mentioned before, use short paragraphs, short clusters, make it easy to ingest for the reader. And feel free to write in the personal pronoun I, right? This is your story. These are your aspirations. So feel free to tell us a bit of a story about yourself here. General formula, if you hop online, you're going to see some really, really great creative summary sections. Might I suggest that you have a look to see what other people in your industry of choice are doing and how they're writing it and so forth, and perhaps borrow some ideas from there. But essentially, you want to start off with a good hook, something that shows your personality. Finish with that hook as well, with that call to action, a little bit about your mission, your intentions, some accomplishments, which of course is your skills with proof. And then, like I said, fill up that section. Feel free to use up the whole 2,600 characters. I put 300, see more there, because that you get a little taste of it. So you might have already realized this when you go onto someone's profile. you will see about 300 characters of their About section before you have to click on See More. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because early on you want to hook them in with those 300 characters to entice them to read on. So your headline is to draw their attention to you and to hopefully have them click on your profile. And the About section is for them to get a deeper understanding for who you are. Okay, so don't mind the blur here. I just wanted to respect these people's privacy a little bit. But one thing you've probably noticed about LinkedIn is they make it super easy for you to connect with people. The problem with that is that there's really not too much connecting happening during the connection process. So this screen might look familiar to you. If you click on the network tool or section of your LinkedIn profile, you'll see a list of people that LinkedIn suggests you might want to connect with. Perhaps you go to the same school, perhaps you share a few connections in common, whatever it might be. They'll say, hey, how about you connect with these people? And they make it super easy. All you need to do is click on connect and it will automatically send a defaulted message. I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn. No introduction, no nothing, just simply a generic, I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn. Might I suggest that you take it a step further? So don't, once you see this page, go through it, read, see if there's anyone that you would like to connect with, but rather than clicking on the connect button here, might I suggest you click on them so that you go directly to their profile. And the lovely Melissa here has agreed to allow me to use her profile as an example. So here we do have a profile. I've clicked on Melissa's profile directly. I've avoided the connect button. Once I'm in her profile, I then click on the connect button and I am then prompted by LinkedIn to add a note. To personalize or customize my invitation to Melissa. So I click on add a note. It then opens up this screen and I will then write to Melissa perhaps a reminder of where we know each other from or where we met or why I would like to connect with her. Please take the time to do that to help the person want to connect with you. Full disclosure, if I really have no idea who you are, I will not accept your request if you send me a generic one. And I'm so disappointed by the amount of career professionals that actually do that from other provinces or so forth. Just let me know why you want to connect. That's all I'd like to know. Now, once you've connected with someone, your profile is now going to show up to their network, right? As someone that their network might want to connect with. So you and your profile, not your full profile, but as we know, your photo, your name, and your headline will show up in, the potential, these are people you might want to connect with list on Melissa's network. So you now have the opportunity to reach out and connect with other people within that new connections network. At the same time, as you start to connect with career professionals that are more relevant to your career aspirations, and as you start to follow companies or groups or so forth that are more relevant to your career aspirations, your news feed becomes more interesting and more relevant to you. Right. And again, you'll regularly be prompted by LinkedIn to connect with other people that more and more kind of fit within those career aspirations that you might have. Speaking of which, LinkedIn is an excellent way to research potential people that you might want to connect with. So these are ways that you could use LinkedIn as a research tool. So optimizing your profile. As I mentioned already, you can go through and snoop other people's profiles to get some really great ideas and suggestions on how you can perhaps optimize your profile. And by optimize, I mean write a really strong about section or write a really great headline or so forth, and even get an idea for how profile photos, and whatever it might be. So the search button, I hope that you're all familiar with it. It's just up there at the top, usually a little bit over to the left-hand side in LinkedIn, and you can type in specific positions. So if you're exploring possible career directions, this is an incredible research tool for that. So you could type in the career or job type there and then click on people, and you will get a listing of people who are working in that particular role. From there, you can click on their profile and have a look to see what was their career pathway. You can also do the same thing with education. So I do often get people saying to me, well, what can I do with my degree in sociology? Or what can I do with my degree in health science? And I say, well, why don't you start by having a look to see what other people have done with their own degrees? Now, I'm not saying that will be the correct pathway for you, but it might prompt some directions that you hadn't thought of before. So you can do that, and you can click on their profile and you can have a look at their career pathway from when they started to where they are today. You can also, of course, use LinkedIn to expand your network. So say, for example, there is a certain company that you're interested in perhaps targeting. You can type in the name of that company, click on people, and you will then get a list, a nice, neat little list delivered to you for people that do or have worked at that particular company. And you can also, of course, start following that company. And anytime that company posts information and so forth, that will be updated onto your news feed, and you'll be able to keep track of what that company is up to. From there, you might peruse through some of these employees and you might consider reaching out to them. So again, we're going to avoid that little connect button and we're going to go straight into their profile, and we might send them a message and perhaps ask them to connect, but also perhaps to ask them for an information meeting so that you can get an insider idea of what it's like to work for that particular company. And remembering back to to the first couple of slides that I mentioned, excuse me, where networking is a really great way to get some insights that you hadn't thought of, or perhaps some recommendations. So when you start talking to people that are working at various companies or working in certain industries, they will come to you with a certain amount of insight that that could be quite valuable to you in your career decision making. So keep that in mind. You can also use the Alumni tool in LinkedIn by, again, using the search bar where you would type in the name of the university or college, and then from there you can click on the Alumni tab, and you can see, and of course from there you can start really filtering your results list, but you can then start connecting with people who are also alumni of the university that you went or go to. And then, of course, you can use it for industry research, and ways that you can do that, of course, are how we've already seen. Use that search bar up at the top, type in, job specific names or company names and so forth. Or you can start joining groups that are relevant to that particular industry. And the way to do that is you click on your work tab, and then a menu will drop down and you click on groups. And you can start searching for groups that are most relevant to the career direction that you're interested in. Don't just stop there, though. Once you get admitted into that group and you become a member, reach out to the group, and not necessarily for help, but engage with them and post interesting information, or share ideas that you might have, or invite a conversation to start happening. So just a few things to think about. I put LinkedIn and social media tips here because the reality is that recruiters are using way more than LinkedIn to recruit. We know that Facebook is fast becoming a very popular recruitment tool. Not so much on for many professional level roles that we're still seeing LinkedIn hold the #1 spot. But the fact of the matter is there are other social media sites where recruiters also look to recruit potential candidates. So one thing that I do say though is, first of all, it's down here, it's my third bullet, but make sure that you familiarize yourself with the privacy settings for each platform that you're using. It's quite complex. Some of these social media tools, particularly LinkedIn, there's so many different ways that you can go, and you're often unsure of how you look to the network. And so thinking about LinkedIn specifically, if you go into the accounts and settings section, then you can really set how you are seen or how you are viewed, to your network, but also to the public as a whole. So make sure to familiarize yourself with those settings. Make sure to audit yourself. Have you ever Googled yourself? If so, when was the last time that you've done that? Might I suggest you do that? Just be ahead of the game, find out what's out there, because it's very likely a recruiter or hiring manager will do that. Customize your LinkedIn URL. And so the way that you do that is just when you go into your own profile, up at the top right-hand corner, it will give you that option to customize your public profile and your URL. Now you might, by that I mean, and I just have mine as an example there, LinkedIn will automatically generate a URL for you that after your name, there's a bunch of letters and numbers. Customizing it means removing that. Now, if you have a popular name or a name that's been used already on LinkedIn, it's very unlikely you're going to get your first and last name. So you might need to play with that a little bit, but I do recommend you go in and customize your URL. Identify your brand. Again, that headline, that where you have the 220 characters, that's part of your brand. That about section, that's part of your brand. Think about how you want to be viewed by the reader, and then make sure that everything you do, everything you like, everything you comment on kind of reflects that. Not everything, of course, but just make sure that you're aware that everything that you do like and comment on and follow can be known to your network. So you do want to make sure that it is at least within those same values as those you might be targeting in your industry. We already know this, research people, positions, and companies. It's not just for networking. It's a really great researching tool. In fact, I think I'd probably use it more so for that than anything else. Follow people and companies and then join groups, but then be engaged and be active. Might I suggest that you set aside 15 minutes each day to just hop onto LinkedIn, write comments here and there on various posts from within your network, follow a couple more companies, seek out new groups to join, and then maybe dedicate a solid 60 minutes per week to really delving in a little deeper. Set a timer for yourself, because you can easily go down a rabbit hole here and all of a sudden 2 hours later, your stomach's reminding you that it's time for lunch. So yeah, but be engaged, be active. Don't just ask for things. Provide information as well. So be a source of information as well. Connect and network with it. Reframe your way of thinking when it comes to job searching. So by applying some of these techniques that we just covered today, very briefly, it really does force you to kind of reframe that. So you're not targeting the job postings, right? You're not being reactive to job postings. You're targeting companies based on research that you've been doing, people that you've been talking to. And once you identify companies you'd like to target, that will help you to establish a goal and a plan in order to get yourself there a little bit quicker. Explore and think outside the box. Be places and be present when you're in those places. So take on short-term contracts, join associations, and then volunteer at the associations. You know, sometimes I know it's really intimidating, especially perhaps for those of you that might have a preference for introversion, but you know it's really in your best interest to be active at some of these associations. One thing I suggest is, well, why not consider volunteering at some of these events? So you're not there representing you, you're there kind of representing the association that's hosting the event, and it might make the mingling and the conversations a little bit easier. Volunteer elsewhere as well. Be active. Join some clubs at KPU. Do as many things as you can to expand your network and to increase the amount of people who know of you and your existence. Consider mentorship. So that can go both ways. So of course, consider looking into having someone be a mentor for you, but you might be surprised to learn that you yourself could also be a mentor for someone as well. So consider that as well, peer support. If you're in third or fourth year, perhaps it might be a great idea to connect with someone in first year and be a bit of a mentor for them. Be a connector, right? So this will help you to start giving back. So one thing I always say around networking and social media and LinkedIn and so forth is for every time you take, and as a job seeker, we might feel like we're taking so much, right? We need tips, we need help, we need advice, we need referrals, we need recommendations, when in fact you can give a lot as well, right? So make sure to, anytime you take, right, asking for advice or whatever it might be, give back 3 times. And it doesn't have to be anything particularly fancy. It could be something like introducing 2 people you think who ought to know each other. It could be writing an interesting comment on someone's really interesting post. It can be liking a post that someone shared. It can be writing a recommendation for a previous colleague on their LinkedIn profile. So there are plenty of ways that you can give back. And the more you do that, the more you're actually putting yourself out there. These things get noticed. And it becomes way more authentic and genuine, and you'll feel as though you are in fact engaging and not just taking. The final thing I would say is start now. And I don't mean just networking now. I don't mean start on LinkedIn now. I mean be places now. Yesterday in the webinar, someone asked, well, what if I don't have that much experience in the direction I want to go? Start now. Look at ways that, again, establish that plan for yourself. What are some ways you can move forward with this and have some of that experience? Well, it might mean, again, even just starting by joining groups, engaging with members of the group at KPU, really be engaged with some of the student clubs, see what's happening over at the KSA, the Student Association. Just be present, get to know your instructors, and have your instructors get to know you as well. So start now with those baby steps. A few other things, the KPU network, if you're not already aware of it, I would strongly recommend that you sign up for this. So the KPU alumni and 10,000 Coffees have partnered, and that's where you're kind of formed, or sorry, connected with someone who is an alumni member who's out there kind of working in their career, and they have offered to provide their time, usually electronically, through email and so forth, to have conversations with current KPU students. So have a look at that. Of course, there's various chapters at KPU as well that are specific to your area of study or focus. There's interior design, there's accounting, there's all these different chapters. And then, of course, we already looked at this, the LinkedIn Alumni Tool. So that's where you search for your school, and then you click on alumni to see, who are some alumni that you might want to connect with as well. All right, so I will, don't go away yet, because we are going to be doing a draw, but I will at this point leave it open for some questions, and I think I'll stop sharing my screen so I can connect with you a little bit more.
That's a wonderful presentation. Thanks, Chantal. We do have a few questions already added into the chat. Um, for the first question from Bano, um, this is this is Banok's second to last semester. Can I apply for an internship right now along with my studies? I am an international student, so I have a limitation of working only 20 hours.
Okay, sorry, Michelle. I missed the first part of that. Can they apply where?
Hello, is this better? Yes. Okay. Yes. For the first part, pretty much can Banat apply for an internship right now along with their studies?
Ah, um, yes, I would say it really does depend. Some internships they might be looking for full time for a certain amount of time. So it really is up to you to connect directly with companies. I do not think that there is any harm in contacting a company directly and asking that very good question.
Perfect. For the next question from Ashveen, for the LinkedIn profile, if Ashveen has already graduated, is it good for her to write the title by her name? So if, for example, Ashveen Gill can add BA and Diploma Arts, which is also the same as their email signature.
Okay, well, my question to you is that relevant for the reader? So who is it that you would like, if you could have anybody, any dream person reviewing your profile, is that bit of information necessary for them to get early on? Because remember, that headline is uber important real estate on your profile. Is that the most important thing you want them to know about you? Or can we keep that down maybe in the about section and instead focus on something else that might be more relevant to your direction?
Okay. Next question from Lena Arboleda. Should the non-relevant job experiences be added, considering that after qualified job, um, I have been doing non-qualified. So I think it's more so um, the jobs, if the non-relevant job experiences should be added into their profile.
Yes, I would say yes, you can certainly keep that unrelevant or non-relevant job in your LinkedIn profile because, you know, the way that I kind of equate or compare the resume with the LinkedIn profile is a resume is written for a specific job to a specific person. A LinkedIn profile is geared a little bit more towards an industry. So it is way more general. It's almost like, remember how I ended yesterday's webinar? I said you should, you know, as your career grows with you, your resume should as well, but you should have that mothership resume where you plug in all that information. A LinkedIn profile is kind of like that, but where we really hone in and focus is in the about section and in the headline. So that's why I didn't really put that much emphasis on the on your education or your experience section, because primarily the focal points are the summary and the headline. So yes, you can put a variety of work experiences on your LinkedIn profile. Just remember, don't forget about those accomplishment statements. If you were here for yesterday's webinar, don't forget about those accomplishment statements. They should also be on your LinkedIn profile in addition to your resume.
Perfect. I think this is a good follow-up question to what you just mentioned, Chantal. And this is from Christine. How do I write under the experience and education sections on LinkedIn so I'm not copying or moving what I've written on my resume?
You can more really, again, on your LinkedIn profile, it will be there'll be more information written under your education or under your experience section. So again, it's almost like it's that mothership resume. You'll have more information on your LinkedIn profile than you would on your resume. So it's okay to have the exact same accomplishment statements as you do, on your LinkedIn as you do on your resume. But on your LinkedIn profile, I would also expect to see a little bit more information under that same job because you've made your resume more relevant to that particular reader.
Okay. Perfect. Mihir has a question here. When is the correct time for applying for internships in their own industry? He's currently a student in his first semester.
Okay. Yeah. So again, your first semester might be a little bit early to be applying for internships, but now is a great time for you to start connecting with and engaging with future prospective companies that could be offering you internships. So when is the ideal time? Well, the answer is more so with the company itself. But if you've identified companies that you will be targeting for internships in the future, start engaging with them now. Feel free to reach out to them directly and ask them, hey, when do you generally hire students for internship opportunities? And that will help you to develop that goal and that plan of how you can make sure to be, front and center for them.
Thanks, Chantal. And I actually do want to add as well, like aside from LinkedIn, the upcoming career day would be in a great place for you to also make some connections with organizations. A lot of the organizations are pretty much there to support and share with you the information about the company, what type of opportunities there is, their hiring practices, and so forth. So this is also a great place for you to form that connection. Yeah.
Absolutely.
There is a next question here from Erdem. About me section must be, is the about me section should be concise? How many words should be there?
Okay, good question. So the about section is relatively large. Like it's a pretty big spot on your profile. They do need to click see more in order to see the full about me section. But you have about 2,600 characters. Don't ask me how many words that is, but it's a lot. And does it have to be concise? Concise, I would say yes, and kind of relevant. Again, I want you to, before you start writing your about section and even your headline, imagine who you would like reading that section. What is it that you want them to know about you? And feel free to hop over and, like I said, view or scope out other people's profiles and about sections to get some inspiration there. But generally speaking, because it's a big blank space, I would strongly suggest that you break it up into smaller, more kind of easier to take in bits of information. So small paragraphs. You can even have little headings for each of your paragraphs, depending on what it is you want them to know. So yeah, I always say everything should be concise and to the point, but it should have all the characteristics that a good about section should have. It should have the hook. It should have, what your mission is, what your purpose is, and it should reflect your personality as well.
Thanks, Chantal. I think that's the last questions here in the chat room. I do have a hand up here, Mina Kedis. Mina, feel free to turn on your video or unmute yourself and ask your question. Hi, Mina, I'm still here.
Mina's shy. Mina's shy.
Okay. Okay. There is, oh, there you
Oh,
go.
there we go.
Yeah. Oh, you are, we
Cannot
can't
hear you.
hear you.
Type in the chat.
Yeah. Try to unmute and mute yourself. Oh, he's leaving.
Or
Okay.
just leave.
Most likely he'll be back. Okay. um,
I suspect Mina will be back.
Definitely. While waiting for Mina, there is another question here that we can maybe answer. Erdem Oztunk, hopefully I said that correctly. Um, I have more work relevant bullet points. So there should be some about my life and personality. Oh, should they add information about their life and personality?
In the about section, sure. Yep. So really, again, the employment section is about employment. The education section is about education. The about section really is about you, and it's to help the reader identify who you are. So feel free to throw in some personality in there. You don't want to get uber personal, but if you want to throw in some really interesting things about your life that you think the reader you are targeting would find relevant or interesting, then absolutely do that. And like I said, feel free to hop over to other people's profiles and have a look at how they've written a little bit about their own life. Hi, Mina.
Hey,
Okay,
can you hear
perfect.
me
Thanks.
now?
Yes.
Okay, finally. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I was unmuted, but it still wouldn't connect for some reason.
No worries.
Uh, so I had a question in regards to the picture there. So I recently went through a change. So I like I was growing my hair for maybe 6 years. I had really, really long hair, and it was for 6 years. I had lots of experiences with like different people, different careers and jobs and stuff like that. And now, I'm looking at getting into LinkedIn for the first time, but as you can see, I do not have that hair at all, right? So I've already like I've been having some hard time like with people that I already see all like almost every day recognize me. So now I don't know what I should do. Should I be posting, the picture of me like last week of still having long hair, or I should be like updated, but I'm worried again, like, they wouldn't recognize me.
Okay, Mina, such a good question. You know what? I would say um, update the photo. Update the photo with how you look now, because chances are it will prompt people to reach out to you and go, what? Mia, right? And so it will almost, it's a conversation piece. So I would absolutely update the photo. And, again, depending on the industry, make sure you have the clothing that kind of reflect that career direction you want to go. Yeah. So yes,
Okay.
long story
Thank
short, update the photo.
thank you very much.
Oh, somebody just raised their hand. Hafsa Khan. So Hafsa, feel free to turn on your video and unmute yourself and ask your question to Chantal.
Hello.
Hi, Hafsa.
Hi, how are you doing? Good.
Great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I do have a question I'm wondering. Since LinkedIn is like it's well known in Canada to like connect with people, right? But what if you want to like connect like outside of Canada if you end up like moving out of Canada or something?
Great question. And Hafsa, there are over 800 million users on LinkedIn. It is a widely used international tool.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Oh, sorry, I will just unmute myself. I think there's still another question here. Kamal, you were asking which YouTube channel it will be uploaded. Again, the recordings will be available at the webpage that I just shared here. It's at kpu.ca/career day. And also somebody just asked when career day is. It's going to be Wednesday, March 9th. So again, the link is there, kpu.ca/career day. So there's more information, also more information about the upcoming webinars as well. Next question, we have Simran Preet. Um, Oh, could you please navigate us to the exact location to the recordings of the webinars? Um, we haven't uploaded the recordings yet. We will, it's all an hour. We just finished this networking event, so it will take us a few more days to add that recording, but most likely it will be available as early as next week. So, um, what else? I think that's pretty much it. Anyone else has a question? Okay, I have a hand here. Royal Deep Sidu. Royal Deep, feel free to turn on your video and then mute yourself, please.
Hi, if it's okay, I don't use my video.
Yeah,
Of
go ahead.
course.
It's fine.
Hi, Royal Deep.
Hello, you remember me, I guess.
I do.
Hi, nice to meet you again. So, as I already asked you when the career day is, I also want to specifically ask: is there going to be any firm or any like like a KPMG or the Big Four? One of the Big Four is going to be attending the career day as well, because one of my target of the my target organization is one of the Big Fours.
Oh, I can help with that question. We again the registration for employers is still open until March 7th. So we of course we have invited all our contacts at KPMG as well. So we will see if they will be joining us. So we'll try and connect with them as well for sure, Royal Deep. But one thing I would recommend, CPABC is attending, and I know that again they're focused on letting students know about the CPA designation, but they do have specific, recruitment events that is in partnership with other big accounting firms, big, small, or any accounting firms that is partnered up with CPABC. So yeah, you can definitely speak to CPABC so that they can let you know kind of like where exactly you can how can you reach out to these organizations and how can you get started with applying for these organizations. So that could be a good recommendation, reaching out to representatives from CPABC. And another thing is we do have other events like careers in accounting as well, and I know they always attend that event as well. So just make sure to attend that. I believe it's going to be in November,
Oh,
this November. So
this year at the end of the year.
yeah, so that's one event that I would recommend, and that is where pretty much at least 30 or accounting firms,
Wow.
government firms are attending in regards to the accounting field. So if you're looking to fully do a full networking with the employers there, you can do that. But as early as now, of course, you can start connecting with these organizations. And Chantal gave a really good presentation about LinkedIn. Feel
Yeah,
free to connect with representatives at KPMG and LinkedIn. I'm sure that'll be.
yeah. Actually, I'm working on my LinkedIn. I already talked to Chantal a lot of time, 2 or 3 times so far. I'm actually still working on it to make it really, really good to present it. I'm probably gonna ask Chantal to once again to look into my profile and give me a feedback in a couple of weeks or something. I actually kind of busy with my studies and my work so far, and but I will gonna ask Chantal to give it another look and give me another feedback so I can present my profile, a very good profile at the career day. Yeah, well, that's the question so far. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I guess for the next question, um, from Erdem, again, what if we try to find a job in Europe? Does anything change? I mean, every country has their, okay, not common, I guess common sense, but different, I guess, ways of presenting themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. They're quite different, actually. So one thing that I would recommend you do is to have a look, perhaps, at some career centers at some universities in the city of the country you're targeting in Europe, because they are quite different, and it's very much a cultural difference in how we approach job search and career exploration and career management in Canada as compared to other parts of the world. So one way that you can do a little bit of research is, have a look at, go onto a university website for a city within a European country that you're targeting, and then have a look at their own career center resources and some tips and suggestions that they might have.
Okay, thank you as well. I think this is going to be the last question from Christine. Will there be another career day opening anytime soon in the coming months? Would really like to participate, but the time of the virtual career day collides with my class time. At this time, the only other big career fair that we have planned is for September, so it's not until fall. So yeah, the only career fair that we will have for this first half of the year will be Career Day on March 9th. A lot of the information about the organizations and their representatives are available on the event page in Career Connection. So if you register, you get to see some of the links, career pages, and other information that might be helpful for you if you're looking for work or volunteer opportunities, internships, and so forth. So that could be something you can do prior to that, or try to connect with the employers directly and email them of your interest about the company. Okay, very last question from Simratpreet, I guess. Would alumni be offered the invitation to the September Career Day graduating in June? Yes, the Get Ready, Get Hired is open to all Kpu students and alumni. Same thing for Career Day. So yes, all our career fairs are open to both students and alumni. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you all for coming. Chantal, do you have your final words to say with the students?
No, just in, finishing up my slides, start now, start the process now, identify what it is your goals are, and then break up those goals into smaller achievable parts. And some of those smaller achievable parts are going into LinkedIn, building up your profile, and starting to connect with people there. So start now. Those would be my final thoughts for you.
Okay, got it.
Attend Career Day. Yeah, do that too.
Yeah.